Today we're going to talk about how much you should save each month. Savings, cash reserve, retirement, all your financial goals. If this is your first time at our channel or you haven't subscribed, click on the subscribe button at the bottom. My name's Travis Sickle, Certified Financial Planner with Sickle Hunter Financial Advisors. When we're starting to save for our goals, sometimes it can be so overwhelming we don't save anything at all, or we're not saving enough. So some of those initial financial goals that we're working for are buying a new house, buying a new car, a cash reserve, and that long-term goal of retirement. While there's a lot of different rules of thumb or targets, it's important to note that they should stay as rules of thumb or targets. They're not exactly how much you should save. So take, for example, a 401k. You might get a 3% match from your employer. So if you contribute 3%, your employer will also match 3%. So your total contribution is going to be 6% into that 401k. Now, if you made $50,000, that would be $1,500 for you and $1,500 for your employer. That's $3,000 on an annual basis. And that's if you're making $50,000. Well, it's great to get the pre-tax savings and getting your employer match. Is it enough to save for your goals? Well, the answer is clearly not, because you also want to save for that first home purchase, that new car, and all your other financial goals, including retirement. While saving for retirement might not be first on your list, let's put that to the side for just a minute and talk about a first home purchase. The average U.S. home price in the U.S. is somewhere around $200,000 to $250,000. So if our goal is to purchase something that is $200,000 to $250,000, we're going to want to set aside at least 20%. Why? Because that's going to help us avoid PMI, or private mortgage insurance, which is what a lender will require you to have if you don't put down at least 20%. So for a $250,000 house, we're going to need to put down at least $50,000. So if your goal is $50,000 and it's 5 years, that's $10,000 per year, or 20% of $50,000. And that $50,000 is the income that we're using to calculate that. So that's 20% of your total earnings. Now let's take a look at the cash reserve goal. If that is going to be 3 to 6 months, if we just look at 3 months, someone who makes $50,000, let's say that their needs or their expenses that they need to live on are $2,500 per month. So that times 3 is $7,500. Now, if we wanted to meet that cash reserve goal, say over the next 24 months or 2 years, that would be $3,750 a year, or 7.5% of your income. So that's already over a quarter of your income just to save for that new home and that cash reserve. It's especially important that when you're saving for your goals, especially the early goals, that you don't mix the funds in between each other. You don't want to take from your retirement plan in order to buy your first home, or take from your cash reserve to put a down payment on anything. The reason is, if something were to happen to you financially, it'll put you at a greater risk of going broke. Now, when you're looking at your finances, you want to make sure that you're separating these goals. You don't want to take from your cash reserve to put a down payment on your home, or your retirement funds to put a down payment on your home, or anything else. You want to keep all these goals and these accounts separate, because in the event something happens to you, you have some money to fall back on. In addition, you might also want to consider looking at moving from where you currently are into a home. Because with a home, it's typically bigger, and you might want to get some more furniture, paint, or do some other minor upgrades along the way. Now, going back to that 401k, if you're earning $50,000, saving the 3% and getting that 3% match, that's going to be a total of $3,000 that goes into your retirement account. 3% is $1,500 times 2 is $3,000. So if we're going back to the 401k and we're saying that we're going to contribute 3%, and we're going to get a match of 3%. So that's going to be a full 6%. That 6% would equal $3,000 total dollars. So how much would that be? That would be $375,000 after 30 years of saving. And that's at an 8% rate of return. Now, we know that you're not going to get 8% every single year, but it's going to give you an idea of what you can project over the long haul. Again, this is something that you want to come back every single year to make sure that you're on track. If we take the $375,000, and I did it on my calculator right here, we would get $18,750 on an annual basis at 5% withdrawal. So whatever withdrawal rate you're going to assume, 5%, 4%, it doesn't matter. It's not enough. It's $18,750. You definitely want to have more money. So if you're just trying to maintain your $50,000 a year lifestyle, now granted, we're not even considering inflation. So what this shows us is that we need to save more. But it's not to scare you. It's not to say this is a huge goal and there's no way you're going to succeed. If you begin to budget and look at your expenses and understand how much you need for cash reserve, how much you need for this first home purchase goal, how much you need for your retirement, you're going to be a lot more prepared, confident, so you can put yourself in a much better financial situation. So figuring out how much you should save each month really starts with how much you can save and then work from there. Is that enough? What changes do you need to make? Look back at your expenses. So budgeting is tracking plus taking action. So it's looking at those expenses. Which ones can you adjust? Which ones can you cut out? And if you're going to go to the extreme and make sacrifices, you'll know why you're doing it. You'll have a clear idea of what the goals and why you're doing those. How much should I save really starts with those decisions. Should I have this? Should I not? And if you're asking yourself those questions and you don't have your goals aligned and you don't know how much you should save, you should probably question whether or not you should get it. Whether it's small or whether it's big, it doesn't matter. Every penny counts and you should look at it to make sure that you're reaching your financial goals. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and leave your comments down at the bottom.